Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, people. So look, y'all. I woke up this morning wanted to make this video after I saw a clip of Diddy at the BET Awards, right? So Diddy is on stage and he pledges to donate $1 million to Howard University, which is his alma mater. And I understand he didn't graduate, but he went to school there, right? He also pledges to donate $1 million to Jackson State University, and he cites Deion Sanders as the influence, as his reasoning behind doing it, basically as his influence to donating that money to Jackson State, right? And outside of Jackson State, I really want celebrities to recognize that there are more HBCUs than Hampton, Howard, Morehouse, and Spelman. I really want them to recognize this, right? I hate to tell people what to do with their money because it's their money. People can do whatever they want with it. They can donate it to whatever cause or whatever institution they want to, right? But in this instance, concerning HBCUs, I have to speak up and say this, right? Me as a black man, I care about the educational access of our people, no matter the locale. So I have to say something in this video. Because it always seems to me that celebrities donate to the same three or four HBCUs all the time. And those HBCUs that I named, Howard, Hampton, Morehouse, Spelman, they are the HBCUs that receive the most money out of all the HBCUs there are. They are the ones that receive the most money. They are well funded. They receive a ton of donations, endowments, so on and so forth, right? And I believe it's just time for celebrities and people of affluence to start giving back to other institutions now, other institutions that really, really need the help. There are over 100 HBCUs in America, and I just want people of affluence, especially black people of affluence, to recognize this, right? The goal in this video, because I know a lot of people are going to be upset. They're going to feel like, are you hating on Howard? You hating on Hampton or Spelman or Morehouse? Why you mad that they get money? No, that's not. I'm glad that they're getting money, right? I just want the distribution of funds to be equal, right? The goal in this video is not to be divisive, but it is to keep all HBCUs open and efficiently funded. That's the goal of me making this video, right? And I know I'm just a small voice, that I don't got a big voice that stretches across the nation or across the world or nothing like that. But I just feel like, I have a very a small audience. Everybody has an audience on YouTube and they can make their point or get their point across, right? And I'm trying to do it without being offensive. But I'm really interested, I am interested in the well-being of all HBCUs. I'm interested in keeping Mississippi Valley State University, Grambling State, Alcorn State, Morris Brown, who just got its accreditation back after about 20 years, right? Cheney University, Bethune-Cookman, Bowie State, South Carolina State, Wilberforce, Morgan State, etc. I'm interested in keeping those institutions that I named, or making them just as prominent as the same 3 or 4 institutions popular celebrities donate to, right? I'm interested in keeping all those institutions, all those HBCUs that I named, just as prominent, making them just as prominent as all the ones that the celebrities always donate to, right? Donating to the same, I got notes, that's why I'm looking down. Donating to the same 3 or 4 schools leaves a bunch of other institutions ill-equipped to properly train and educate young scholars, young black scholars, right? And at the same time creates a system of classism and elitism from those who attend those well-funded schools. That's a topic that I'm going to talk about at a later date, right? Because it happens, right? But we got to donate to, including myself. I donated to my institution. I have to donate some more money to my school, to my HBCU, Mississippi Valley State University. But I also, when I come into some money, if I ever were to come into some money, I feel like it's my job to help other HBCUs, right? Payne College, Paul Quinn, Wiley College, which was Wiley College was the subject of the movie The Great Debater starring Denzel Washington, right? Florida Memorial, Prairie View, Shaw University, Johnson C. Smith, St. Aug's, where my grandfather went to school in Raleigh, North Carolina. Those schools need money as well. Not just Howard, Hampton, and Morehouse and Spelman, right? And I know that not everyone lives in states where an HBCU exists, right? And I know that many Black Americans are not as knowledgeable about HBCUs as they should be. So here's my chance to educate you. I myself was not, I wasn't knowledgeable about HBCUs, historically Black colleges and universities, as I should have been, even in spite of my grandmother, my father, and my aunt, and my stepmother all attending Alcorn State University in Lorman, Mississippi, an HBCU, right? But this is just something that I've noticed, really. As a young Black man from the city of Chicago, Illinois, I recognize that a lot of HBCUs in the South need better funding. They need it. They need better facilities, better resources to help improve. The curriculum is already good. A lot of these institutions are great, but they need better resources to help the students do things that will help them that will help them in the professional world, right? If the communications department, if the mass communications department had better technology, better computers, better editing software to help students make a professional resume reel for them to get jobs in broadcasting and so on and so forth. If they had those better resources, they can get better edited videos for them to look professional when they're trying to work at CNN or one of these local TV stations, TV news stations, and so on and so forth, right? We as Black people, again, including myself, celebrity or not, have to be invested in the educational access of Black people. That's it. I have 2 Black children. I have a Black daughter, a Black son, right? And I don't want them to believe that all hope is lost. If they can't go to Howard, if my daughter can't go to Spelman, if they can't go to Hampton, if my son can't go to Morehouse, I don't want him to feel like all hope is lost or they won't be able to get jobs, or they won't be able to looked at as a prestigious young man if they don't have that degree from Howard or Hampton that receives a ton of the money and endowments and so on and so forth, right? I want again, Wilberforce, Cheney, Mississippi Valley State University, all to be looked at in equal eyes as other schools. And I know it's hard to attain, but I want them to be looked at as prominent as well because they're getting the necessary funding to be able to make their programs solid and their programs strong because they have those resources to do so. Again, there are a lot of poor and struggling HBCUs that are oftentimes begging for help. It's a lot of poor and struggling HBCUs that are begging for help to keep their schools functioning properly in order to educate the poor and disenfranchised Black Americans living throughout this country, right? And I say that because a lot of the HBCUs, they sit in towns that are made up of poor and disenfranchised Black Americans, right? They sit in towns that are poor and disenfranchised African American people, Black American people live in these towns, and they're responsible for educating those poor and disenfranchised Black American people, right? And if they don't get the proper funding, they can't educate them properly in order to be successful, to thrive in corporate America one day, and when schools have to, and a lot of the times, a lot of these HBCUs that are sitting in these areas, that are, full of poor and disenfranchised Black American people, a lot of those schools don't get the funding, so they have to focus on surviving instead of thriving. The school has to focus on surviving instead of thriving, and it hurts not only the school, but the community it educates at the same time. It hurts both at the same time. Again, these schools don't have, the schools that I named. And I know now a lot of people, we all on the HBCU wave. People are, it's a wave now. People are, talking about it more. It's trendy. And I like that. I like that, right? I like people wanting to go to HBCUs now. People having these discussions, and people encouraging their kids to go to historically Black colleges and universities. I really admire that as a graduate of Mississippi Valley State University, right? I admire that, right? However, I don't want a school to have a popular name at the school in order for the students to want to go to that school, right? Or in order for people to donate money to the school, rather, right? Jackson State is getting a lot of funding now because Deion Sanders is there. And that's beautiful because Deion Sanders is also spreading his resources and wealth to Mississippi Valley State Alcorn State, so on and so forth, and other schools in the SWAC, the Southwest Athletic Conference, right? But a lot of the celebrities are donating only because Dion is there, right? And I don't think that you shouldn't only be encouraged to donate to HBCUs because a prominent figure that you idolize is at their school. Whether a person that's famous is at their school or not, they also still need resources. They also still need better funding. They need money. They need, a lot of different things. They need that strong network base in order for them to get on equal footing as not only other HBCUs, but other predominantly white institutions as well. The schools that I named earlier in the video, they don't have popular, a lot of those schools, they have popular people. They don't, what I'm saying to say is some of the schools that I named don't have popular alumni that have tremendous influence to get prominent individuals to donate money to the schools, right? Some of those schools I named don't have a strong alumni base with graduates who are in Fortune 500 companies to give back millions of dollars or thousands and thousands of dollars, right? Some of those schools aren't funded properly, right? Because they aren't tourist attractions for the cities that they sit in, right? Some of these my school was in Itabena, Mississippi. It's not a tourist attraction place. So they aren't properly funded as a Jackson State would be because it sits in the state's capital. Some of those schools that I named don't have presidents who have a prominent network of wealthy donors to get large endowments for the universities. They don't. My alma mater, Mississippi Valley State University, is one of those institutions. They don't have a lot of those things. My school doesn't have a lot of those things. And I swear, if I ever come into a large amount of money, I'm going to donate it to Mississippi Valley State University and also some other HBCUs, right? I would love to donate a hefty amount to my school that educates Black Americans. My school in particular educates Black Americans in one of the poorest regions of the United States, and that's the Mississippi Delta. My school educates people from the Mississippi Delta, which is one of the poorest regions in the United States of America. So I want brothers and sisters that don't have the same access. They don't live in these big towns and big thriving cities that I come from, like Chicago, Illinois, right? So they rely on Mississippi Valley State to educate them. The school is right there, right in the Delta, in the heart of the Delta. So why not bring resources to that school, to my HBCU, to keep them adequate and up to date on equipment and resources to make sure those kids get the proper training to be proficient in working class America? Why not get them those resources they need to be great leaders of tomorrow? They need it. They need it, man. So the point of this conversation was not to be mean-spirited, was not to point fingers at, hey, don't give no money to Howard, don't give no money to Hampton. I'm just saying you can give money to those schools. For sure, I encourage you to give money to those schools, but also give money to the other schools that are out there that you may have never heard about, that don't have popular alumni that go to the school, that don't have Diddy and Felicia Rashad that went to the school, that don't have that don't have popular alumni like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. But they have a lot of Black kids that are at their school that need to get educated properly. They have a lot of Black kids who are looking to do something with their lives and make a change for not only them, but their families at those schools. Give money to those schools as well. For the kid that doesn't have money to go to Howard because it's too far, they can't pay their money to come back and forth on a plane all the time from Mississippi to Howard. A lot of people can't make that drive. They can't pay for those flights. So they send their kids to the closest school to them so that they can get home easier and that they can have a better hand on their children, and they're not far away from them. So if something were to happen, knock on wood, they can be right there to touch them. So some people want their kids closer to home. And I don't want kids to be at a disadvantage if they stay at the HBCU in town and not go to Howard or Hampton. I don't want them to be against all odds if they don't go to Howard, Hampton, Morehouse, or Spelman. I don't want that to be the case. As Black Americans, we already got our challenges and we already got odds stacked against us anyway. I don't want it to be a system of elitism or classism within our own schools. I don't want it to be a situation like that where we got to go to this school or that school to be looked at as prominent. And if we don't go to that HBCU or that HBCU, they really not that smart. It's really not. They really didn't do that much. If they didn't go to that HBCU, they're really not the best. I got into all the schools that y'all, Hampton, Howard, all of that. I got into all those schools, but I went to the school that gave me a full academic scholarship. I got scholarship money from them schools, but I got the full ride from Mississippi Valley State University. So I went to MVSU, made the best of my experience, did what I had to do, and came and went to get a master's degree at Arkansas State after that, and then went into the world. But Mississippi Valley State University trained me properly to do those things, and I recognized when we were there, man, we don't have a lot of the technology that other schools have to do the certain things that my friends that went to schools in the Big Ten, that went to University of Illinois, that went to Howard, that went to Northern Illinois, that went to one of the valedictorian in my class went to Stanford. And we didn't go to Washington and stuff like WashU and stuff like that. But we still want the same type of resources that they have. So black people of affluence and common black folks as well, we got to donate to these schools. I know people are going to say, oh, it's up to the alumni to give back. Yes, but a lot of the schools don't have a strong alumni base that can bring in millions and millions and millions of dollars to really, really make the change that is needed. Because a lot of these institutions needs millions and millions of dollars to make changes to the facilities, again, to the programs, to put even the athletes on an even playing field when it comes to competing with other schools, when it comes to better having better practice fields, better practice facilities, better just even facilities, regular facilities where they play in, better football field. My school right now, NVSU, needs a football field. Deion Sanders is working to get them practice field and get them better turf and so on and so forth. He's using his influence as a way to help other institutions that need it, right? So I want while being at the HBCU, right? So I want others, people that are always donating to the same schools, other celebrities to recognize, hey, we need to spread the wealth as well. The wealth needs to be spread. There are over 100 HBCUs in America. And I can make a list for you and put it in the comment section if need be, But a lot of these schools need help. My school, NVSU, is the youngest school in the SWAC. 1950, the school was opened. My father is 5 years younger than the institution I went to. So we don't have the strong alumni base that the other school that's been over since 18 something, and all of that. We don't have the strong, we're a smaller school. We don't have a whole bunch of just Fortune people working at Fortune 500 companies to donate a lot of money back. We don't have a lot of people that have the networks that individuals that maybe a Howard University has, where they went on to be prominent actors, prominent entertainers, and they have a lot of money to give back to Howard or Hampton, so on and so forth. Other schools need that money too, man. I don't want my children to feel like they're at a disadvantage. I don't want my cousins, my nieces and nephews to feel like they're at a disadvantage if they can't go to Howard, Hampton, Spelman, or Morehouse. I don't want that. I don't want that to be a thing, man. And that's all I'm saying. Machiavelli Mills TV, I'm out. Peace.